So at 17, they told you that they got you, and at 25 they're wondering what you're doing with your own life to let life pass you by. They're worried that if you don't pay rent for yourself now, then when will you ever do? At 25 they teach you lessons they should have taught you straight out of high school. Your parents realized they were a little too soft on you, so you didn't turn out to be what they expected you to be. They were fully convinced that you were watching, only to realize that they were watching you age with the instincts to beg for bread and more bread. They were fully convinced that you were watching out, only to realize that they were watching you age with the instincts to beg for bread and more bread and not provide for yourself like a real man or woman in that time. At 25, the only thing they saw you provide for your own self were breadcrumbs. Whew. Yeah, this poem has really some real statement in there, and it's really getting into my head, and I'm like, yo, I think I still carry some of these insecurities, and it's just by the grace of God that I'm like, yo, you're not putting me down, you're not putting me down, you're not putting me down. I don't have to be where you say I have to be at. I'm comfortable. I'm not exactly comfortable where I am, but I'm grateful to God for where I am. Because I know that I'm not comfortable where I am, so I'm working to be somewhere else better than where I am. Yeah. So this verse says, you your parents told you you're young, no pressure, don't chase after money, kindly study first. You'll get money after studying, you'll get a good job, good life. And now they're worried that you're 25 and you can't even pay rent for yourself. You're out of campus and you're not providing for yourself. And at 25, they're starting to tell you things, and you're like, oh God, they should have told me these things straight out of high school so that I get mentally prepared for what's to come. And now you're starting to learn business. Like for me, I started to learn business around that time in my life. Uh, like I'm seeing other youth in business. It's not that I didn't know business, but they told me to study. They told me to study, they encouraged me to study, and that I'll pursue money afterwards. And now I realize that they actually hoped I would, tell myself, hey, Mungai, you need to get some money for yourself, or else you're going to remain dependent on us, and that's not what we expect of you at your age. Yeah, so they're like, oh, we were too soft on this boy. We were too soft on this child. And they were watching you grow up, but not seeing you grow up in the way they expected, their uncommunicated expectations. Well, if you're if you've been raised and those expectations were communicated to you, well, be grateful to God. I hope you did something about it. And even if you haven't done much, I hope, like, you're walking aware that your life is now in your hands and it's mostly dependent on you. Yeah. So at 17, so at 25, the only thing they saw you provide for your own self for breadcrumbs. Yeah, so you're starting to make little money here and there, and then you tell them, I'm from work, I was paid 1,000 shillings, and they're like, yo, what kind of money is that? They're expecting you to be paid something that's substantial enough to sustain you so that you don't ask them for their money because they're now looking after your siblings. But apparently, that's not the way things went. Did it? Is it? Nope.